ISIL attacks Paris. When will America lead again? ISIL attacks Paris. When will America take the lead again? Thank you for tuning in today to the Black Political Buzz Network, and my name is Laurel. Today's blog topic, I will be discussing the recent terrorist attack by ISIL in the city of Paris, France. Now, last year, Paris, France suffered a very similar terrorist attack from ISIL on the Charlie Hebdo magazine or newspaper. Charlie Hebdo was a satirist or a magazine that used satire to report the news and make fun of world leaders. Okay, and due to Charlie Hebdo mocking the Islamic leaders, the magazine was targeted by terrorists and it was attacked. And of course, lives were lost. Well, this year, yesterday, Friday, November 13th, 2015, there was another huge terrorist attack upon the city of Paris, France. More than 100 citizens were attacked by ISIL terrorists. More than 100 people were killed during that attack. It was a very gruesome, brutal attack. Limbs and burnt bodies everywhere. I did see some of the images, and it was just horrifying. And the president of France, President Hollande, has declared war upon ISIL. After the attack, President Hollande has now declared war upon ISIL. Now, this tragedy in Paris, of which I'm praying for the people of Paris, France. I'm praying for the survivors' families of this terrorist attack upon Paris, France. But America is sitting by and watching our allies and our neighbors be attacked and terrorized and brutalized by ISIL. Now, ISIL is a very organized terrorist organization. It's not like Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda was spread out. It wasn't real well organized. Al Qaeda was the first major terrorist organization, other than Hamas. Al Qaeda was the first major global terrorist organization, but it wasn't very well organized in its operations. Even though they succeeded in attacking the U.S. on the 9/11 2001, it still did not have the organization, worldwide organization, that ISIL has attained. ISIL is much more organized in its tactics. Its leaders, ISIL leaders, are most of them are very well educated. They are well versed in technology. ISIL leaders and members are great at hacking into American networks. Much of the hacking that has occurred in the U.S. within the last 5 years has come not from China, but from ISIL. I repeat, much of the hacking that's been inflicted upon American networks on the federal government level, in states, cities, and towns, and even individual citizens over here on U.S. soil has not come from China, nor Iran, nor Russia. It has come from ISIL terrorists in the Middle East. And then we have many ISIL terrorists who have immigrated to the U.S. due to President Obama's administration relaxing the immigration policies. And then these ISIL members, they immigrate to the U.S. and they bring those hacking skills with them, and thus we have all this major hacking going on. Oh my gosh. So what is America going to do? We have ISIL going into Africa, snatching young girls. We have affiliates of ISIL going into Africa and other areas of the Middle East, attacking young girls. We have ISIL affiliates kidnapping and recruiting Caucasian and other women from the U.S. to the Middle East to join the Isil organization. Then when they get over there, they're raped and made into sex slaves and handed over to leader after leader after leader until they're raped to death. Yet America hasn't done anything. Now, I'm not a war hawk. I am not a war hawk. I'm going to say that one more time. Black Political Buzz does not advocate going to war at the drop of a hat. I don't believe in going to war at a whim. And I don't believe in America going to war or declaring war based upon lies and propaganda. I don't believe that. However, in this instance, considering ISIL is declaring war via its actions against U.S. citizens and our allies, considering how ISIL is basically practicing or leading up to world domination, when is America going to lead again to prevent them from achieving world domination status? When are we going to step up? I know ISIL terrorists and members are brutal. I know that. I know that. But we can't be afraid. That's what they want us to do. Terrorists do what they do for political purposes to create fear. Terrorism is nothing but a tactic used by bullies to create fear so that they can do what they want to do. They're bullies. Hacking on the internet is nothing but cyberbullying. When you hack into someone's network or someone's iPhone to steal information or mess up their system, it's nothing but cyberbullying. Where terrorism is nothing but bullying, just like the KKK. ISIL, KKK, same thing. They both use terrorism and fear to create an atmosphere in which they can operate freely and easily. Because if people are afraid of you, they're paralyzed to fight against you. When someone is afraid of you, they are not going to defend themselves because they are paralyzed with fear. So what are we going to do as a nation? Continue to sit back. Now, I'm glad that the president of France, President Hollande, has declared war. Just as the president of Jordan declared war when ISIL killed one of their pilots earlier this year, beheaded one of their pilots earlier this year, the president of Jordan, the king of Jordan, declared war. That's great. But America cannot just sit back and not take the lead or just not become involved. We just can't keep sitting back saying that's not our problem, that's in the Middle East. Yes, it is in the Middle East. But what goes on in the Middle East, when the Middle East is unstable, it affects the stability of the entire nation, of the entire globe. Instability in the Middle East affects the entire world, not just the Middle East. We have people U.S. citizens who live in the Middle East. Our allies live in the Middle East, like Israel, for example. Right now, we're just sitting back like wimps. I'm not suggesting that we just go to war nilly-willy. I'm not suggesting that we become a war hawk, because I'm against going to war just to make profits. I'm against war profiting stage wars. I'm against wars being declared, for the purpose of war profiteering. I'm not for that. But we just can't continue to sit back. We must pray as a nation, and we must strategize. We must pull together and pray, not become divided, black against white, police against citizens, agents against blacks, Muslims against blacks. We can't do that. Muslims against whites, we can't do that. We must remain a unified, not divided. We must remain a unified nation. We must remain a unified nation, one that's together, tightly knit together, not divided. Divided, we fall. United, we stand. We must put our heads together with our military leaders and our political leaders and strategize on how we can intervene. Because guess what? If you think that ISIL is not going to eventually attack the U.S., you're wrong. They're going to eventually attack the U.S. because they're going to keep on doing what they're doing until our military becomes so paralyzed with fear that we can't defend ourselves any longer. And then we will no longer be a great nation. Because without a great military, we're not a great nation. We're cutting military funding. We're not training our troops properly. We have troops falling out of the sky, doing paratrooping exercises. That stuff never happened in the past like that in great numbers. Maybe once in a while, infrequently, but not frequently. Maybe infrequently, but not consistently. And ISIL is observing all of that. We're falling into a trap. And then if we continue to not train our troops properly and prepare them and equip them properly, when ISIL does lure the U.S. military into a war, when ISIL does lure the U.S. military into a war, because they are trying to lure the U.S. military into a Middle Eastern war, our troops will lose unless we step up now. Unless our political leaders and military leaders step up now and strategize and show ourselves once again as a major force on this planet. And that we are there for our allies and our people. Human rights also involves protecting our allies, not just passing gay rights laws. Human rights also involves helping to protect our allies. So, once again, ISIL has attacked Paris again. When will America lead? Thank you for tuning in today to the Black Political Buzz Network. This is Laurel. Have a great day and goodbye.